So, hello and welcome to this Omdia Fast Chat. My name is Liam Dean. I'm a principal analyst for Games Tech at Omdia. And today I have with me Steve Hoon from Denuvo. Steve, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Denuvo. Denuvo is the world leader in anti-piracy and anti-cheat technologies for the games industry.
So, Steve, we're seeing a lot of price inflation in the games market lately. Is that something you think will drive a resurgence in piracy?
I really think so. I think as you would anticipate when people have less money to spend, disposable incomes, then what you would see is typically people trying to take shortcuts. Games that are, for example, cracked are not actually that hard to actually find and download. So employing technologies to prevent people from being able to pirate games is going to become ever more critical in that context.
And what do the barriers to adoption look like for getting access to that kind of technology for anti-piracy solutions? Are they accessible to smaller publishers, or is it more likely to be the domain of the bigger players?
I'd say traditionally it's been employed by the AAAs quite naturally for them, and that's because I think they recognize the value of security. They've been able to, they release games so regularly that they can really see the impact of piracy when a game gets successfully attacked. I think the smaller publishers typically releasing perhaps less games and having less experience don't necessarily assess the impact. I think there's been a number of, I guess, misconceptions and that have been floating around the industry, such as the fact that these anti-piracy technologies are complex, that they're expensive, and therefore driving potentially away people that should probably employ it. But also, I think the incorrect perception that anti-piracy technologies slow down the games is something that I think is floating around the pirates in their mind, and unfortunately, the smaller publishers typically have that gamer sentiment in mind, which impact their views. And perhaps the last thing as well is, I think because of, I guess, the overall view that having players, even if they actually haven't paid, is a good thing. Having publicity is a good thing. Then people sometimes don't necessarily think enough about monetization and ensuring that you're actually getting paid for your game, and that's often overlooked, because especially for games that are multiplayers, you end up actually potentially bearing the cost of the infrastructure but not earning the money. So overall, there's a lot of misconceptions. The anti-piracy technologies today are implementable in matter of hours for any publisher, and it's actually very cost effective and sized to the success of the game. So there's really no reason to actually not do it these days.
Yeah, some really interesting points there. I think ease of integration is such a big one, isn't it? Especially for smaller studios that don't have the resources to spend a lot of time mastering complicated tools, but that's not necessarily the case. So what about kind of, I guess another thought that some publishers would have is maybe we're moving away more from this kind of traditional upfront purchase model. We're moving more towards free-to-play gaming. Does that mean that you don't have so much to worry about from the security perspective, or is it more like it just brings a different set of challenges?
It brings a different challenge. So when you think of a free-to-play online game, the business model is going to be about people spending time in your game as much as possible so that you can generate either ad revenue or basically purchases in and around the game. In order to be able to be successful and really monetize the game, that means that you need to make the experience really good. So people stay in the game and play for hopefully extended period of time. Some games, run for years very successfully. The part of that, I think a big challenge in this kind of environments tends to be cheating. Cheating really spoils the party for all the players, and that's really the challenge. It's not so much that the game is pirated, because that's not relevant anymore. If the game is free, you might as well just let it open to everyone in practice. It's about ensuring that cheating is not occurring in your game, because that will turn a lot of people away. And if that happens, then suddenly you're not able to monetize as much on ads and in-game purchases, or all the DLCs or things like that. So that's a very, very different, I guess, issue, but ultimately leading to the same outcome, that you don't make as much money on the game that you spend potentially years in building.
And can developers, if they're looking at the anti-cheat as opposed to the anti-piracy or anti-camper side, is there a similar ease of integration there? Is that also something that can be done without a lot of work on the developer's end?
Yeah, absolutely. The anti-cheat technologies are equally simple to integrate. So again, there's same thing. There's a lot of perception around the industry. Some of it relates to performance. There's a fear that it degrades the performance of the game, which is certainly not true, or at least for our products. I think there's a second issue that's driven by perhaps one of our key competitors, which is the experience. In the way we offer our technologies, our technologies are very capable, very, very efficient at detecting cheaters. When that happens, we don't actually immediately say crash the game or shut people out. Instead, we flag it to the studio or to the developer and to the game server, and then they decide what actions need to be taken. And that could be kicking the player out of that particular game. It could be potentially initiating a ban, if that's perhaps somebody that's been doing that multiple times. Could be moving them into a cheaters island. For us, it doesn't really matter. What our game is about, actually detecting the cheaters. What actions are taken is something that needs to be part of the experience too. Unfortunately, I guess a key competitor is just basically more or less crashing the game with no information, no education to the community, and that's a real problem, because people don't understand, don't know what's going on, and the game developers don't really have a way of managing the experience around it, and that I think matters truly as well. So today, it's possible to integrate anti-cheat technologies in a matter of hours, and you should control the experience so that it's still a positive experience for everyone, and that's what we offer.
Yeah, that flexibility is really key, isn't it? So before we wrap up, there's one other trend in the industry I was interested in getting your take on, and that's the growth of cloud gaming. So this is a big technical revolution that we're seeing coming into gaming. What are the implications, you think, for the security side when it comes to cloud gaming?
Yeah, it's another, I guess, fun topic, because cloud gaming has been a topic of discussion for many years. I think there's a varying degree of belief into when would that really hit the mark, because there's been many attempts by now, unfortunately not that successful in practice. What we see is that the moment that really start to take mass market adoption, cheating will occur. It's not going away. Human nature is such that when you're playing any form of competitive gaming, people will want to find ways to cheat and win. That's just unavoidable. Now, in a cloud gaming environment, what's interesting is you don't have access to the game anymore. It's no longer running on your PC, which means you won't be able to go and attack the game as it is possible today on a Windows PC. So what we anticipate at that point is that people will start employing, I guess, more fit for purpose, for example, hardware that is designed for cheating. Say a mouse that is clicking, 100 times a second on the behalf of the person, or perhaps even starting to employ other technologies that supports the automatic aiming through the mouse and keyboard. And so one of the things that we've done to really prepare for it is actually relaunch the technology called Unbotify, which is really centered around detecting the use of bots, which could be software, but also hardware, and essentially trying to single out behavior that's not human. So we know what a human can do. We can actually, for every game, we basically build a learning model, a machine learning model, so that we understand what is a normal player. And then from there, you can derive anomalistic behavior, and you're able to single out people that would be cheating on cloud gaming as well. It's obviously applicable to games today as well, but it's very important that through that technology, we have we can see the way of also securing cloud gaming, and we see that cheating will also occur, and people will, of course, try it.
Yeah, really interesting stuff, and definitely food for thought for developers and platforms in the cloud gaming space as that market continues to grow. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Steve. This has been a really interesting talk, and thank you for everyone who has watched us today. This has been a fact chat from Ompia with me, Liam Dean from Ompia, and Stephen from Nuvo.
Thank you for having me, and thanks everyone for listening to it.